What is good, kick and bass gang? My name is Morgan. I'm one half of FOMO, and today we're going to be showing you guys how to make a little bass tech house thing using some of the sounds from our latest sample pack and the groove generator. Sounds a little something like this.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down. Slow it down. Tell me how you want it. Feel the rhythm all around. All around.
Alright, so I like to start with vocals. So this is the sample that we started with, and this is in the pack as well.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
I'll show you guys some of the processing later, but I like to start with vocals just because it tells you a lot about how the production is going to sound. So after that, I use the groove generator. Just play it underneath and just wait for an idea that kind of gets me inspired. So if you guys haven't seen any of the videos yet, essentially the gist of it is you just click random and it's going to give you a random groove every single time. So if we just
tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it. Tell me how you want it.
So if we just hit random,
tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it. Tell me how you want it.
That's a pretty good starting point every single time. And from there, once I get something I'm kind of happy with, we have the option to change the kick, clap, and hat. So if we just listen to the groove generator. After I get like the initial groove, I'll just kind of mess around and see if there's any better samples that fit the vibe I'm going for. And then from there, if you like the drums, you could always just randomize the bass by just going like this. You could change the key down here, and you could change the bass sound right here. Got swing controls, and then you got shaker and fill on off. So in this rack, anything you want on should stay on 0. And if you move it off 0, it turns it off. So if we wanted a tom bass line instead of a serum sound, we could just turn on the tom. So I got the initial loop. And then what I did is, as you can see down here, I just resampled the individual elements of it. So kick, 808. So you would just go inside the groove generator and then just solo the elements, and you could either resample them or you could extract the chain so you could affect everything by itself, because it's kind of hard to dial everything in if it's in the groove generator. But after you extract everything, this is the idea that I got down here. So we got the kick, pretty much nothing on it besides this little group processing rack. So this just has a little bit of arrangement stuff for the buildup. Let's take one more listen here.
Slow it down, slow it down. Tell me how you want it.
So after that, we just have the 808 right here. It's pretty much just kick and 808 for the first part of the drop. And then I like to use this drums full parallel preset on either drums or bass lines. And then drum bus with just a little bit of drive. So we turn this stuff off just to listen. It's just a little bit of drive there. And then I use the saturator on soft clip mode just to make sure it's not coming out too hot out of the channel. And then a little bit of side chaining with LFO tool. Moving on to the percussion. So we got the full loop just on the second part of the drop. So I just resampled the clap from the groove generator, but there's a shit ton of claps and one-shots inside the pack itself. So we just got the clap and then the little drum fill from the groove generator right here. Nope, barely any processing on both of these. We just got some delay for the clap and the build-up right here, so. And then just a little bit of washout automated up just to add some tension on the build-up there. Next up, we got this little short fill just for the intro here. So if we just listen real quick. Then we got the build snare loop for the build up. And there's a bunch of these inside the pack as well. So we got your typical build snares. Try to switch up the patterns a little bit to keep it interesting. Then we got short fills and stuff in here. And I tried to process everything as much as possible so you guys won't have to mix a lot in the project. So as you can see, most of the drum samples almost have nothing on them. Next up in the tops group, we got this little white splash just to add a little impact on the downbeat of the drop. We got the hat that the groove generator gave us. Then we just got this crash from the sample pack to add some tension right here.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down. Slow it down.
All right, let's take a look at this synth right here. All right, so the first one you hear is this big boy, and all these are in the pack as well. So it's just a little FM style bass. Just playing in the root note of the song. Below that, we got the big boy reverse. So essentially what I did was I just pulled up the sustain on this so it would keep its volume. But I used a auto filter on the second part just so it'll add flow into the second part of the drop right here. So
speed it up or slow it down. Slow.
And then we just have a little bit of pitch bend on Serum because it's meant to be like a downwards effect. So if we check that out on the first one. And then we just have a muter on the track right here, just to make sure it shuts off besides the reverb on the second part of the drop. So the muter just mutes the entire channel. And this is super helpful for just like silencing a bunch of effects all at once. So all together.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down. Slow it down. Tell me how you want it.
And then for the second part of the drop, the big boy is just down an octave. Next up, we have the slow down sound. So let's take a listen. So I actually made this from scratch inside the project, but there's sounds like this inside of the pack. But essentially, I was just trying to, I like to play off the words of a song to kind of give a synth that like relates to it. So slow it down. I have this like,
slow it down. Slow it.
So it's like pitching down, so it kind of plays off the word here. So let's take a look at the patch here. It's just a simple, super detuned saw. Not a lot going on, just reverb in the effects. And then the key thing is if you want something to feel like it's slowing down, what you're going to want to do is just like pitch it down over time. So we have this drastic pitch bend right here. So I set it to +7 and -2 inside of Serum. Not even sure why, but it just sounded good. And then we just got this reverb send rack. So the dry channel is just the full dry sound. And then the wet is 100% on the reverb, just so we have more control over it. And the way you could do this is just if you take a reverb and group it like this, it's now like an on-channel send. So you could just duplicate the chain right here, call this one dry, call this one wet, and then all you have to do is get rid of the reverb. Then you can have more control over the reverb. And these are also, we have 11, I think, or no, we have 10 effect racks in the pack. Delay send, reverb send, ready to go. And then we have group channel strip, which I'll show you guys later, and a bunch of other fun stuff. All right, the last lead sound is gonna be this acid sound. So my thought process with this was, it kind of says
Rhythm all around.
Says all around here. So I wanted to do something with like ping pong delay. So it would like play off the words and being like all around. So if we take a look at the patch, anytime you want the acid type of sound, you just got to use a saw wave and then a crazy either low pass filter or band pass filter. So let's pull off the effects just to hear what they're doing here. So with nothing on it, almost can't even hear it, but the distortion is really gonna just bring out the resonance in the filter. And then we got OTT on the multiband compressor, just to bring it up. And then chorus, pretty much just default settings here. And this is just making it a little bit wider in the mix, so without it. Then outside of it, we got standard multiband compressor, and this just kind of tames the harshness in a lot of sounds, so without it. So what it's doing is, as you can see on the high part of it, so imagine this like an EQ, the highs on the EQ, so it's just compressing the highs on the EQ a lot, and then a little bit on the mids and lows. Then we got a little bit of delay, just to give it some space, and some sidechain over here. Last thing is gonna be, I automated the filter cutoff on the channel. So the filter controls like the whole acid tone of it, so if we move this up. So this just gives it a little bit of movement over the acid phrase, and it just repeats again right here. All right, next up we got the effects group. Let's check it out. So we got the high riser, mid riser, and then the noise. So in the pack, there's a bunch of one knob effects, and the whole point behind them is to kind of emulate kind of like what Endless Smile does. So it's just one knob and it gives you everything you need. And what it's mapped to is the level, the detune, the pitch, the cutoff, and then the width of it. So it just gets more intense as the buildup goes on. And the reason why these are so useful is because you could put them in the root note of the song. So we're in D minor. And the way that the pitching is set up, if you go from 0 to 100, it's going to keep the effects in the pitch of your song. And this is just super useful for keeping everything cohesive. Below that, for the tonal mids riser, it's just the same exact thing, but it's 2 octaves below. And the one knob also just makes it so you could change the length of your effects without having to mess around with samples. So if we just wanted like 1 bar of it. Super easy to use for the gang. And then for the noise, the same kind of thought process. So if we check out the serum patch, it's all coming from this noise oscillator. And then we got the one knob, so it's increasing the level over time, the cutoff over time, the resonance over time, the reverb, and then the space of it. And then the last thing on this one is going to be the auto pan, which is giving it that left to right stereo feel. Let's go. All right, last up for the arrangement, I have the saved vocal rack, just so I could show you guys how I process my vocals. So with nothing, let's see how terrible it is.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
Let's go, baby.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
And the reason why I have this grouped is just because if you have more vocals that you want to add underneath, you don't have to worry about copying the whole processing chain. They'll just always be affected the same way. So first up, we got the EQ8, and this is just cutting out everything that we don't want.
Tell me how you want it.
So the fundamentals right here, and anything below that's pretty much useless to us. Next up, we have the compressor.
Tell me how you want it.
So this is barely doing anything, honestly. It's just making sure that like some of the peaks are tamed.
Tell me how you want it.
After that, we have Avox Warm.
Tell me how you want it.
And this is part of the Antares like auto-tune bundle. So this is just giving it some saturation. You could control it with the drive down here.
Tell me how you want it.
That just brings it a little bit up more in the mix.
Tell me how you want it.
Next up, we have another EQ8. So the recording's pretty resonant in the low mids right here.
Tell me how you want it.
So I'm just taming these first couple fundamentals. Then we have a manipulator. And this is what's giving it the tone that's not shit.
Tell me how you want it. Tell me how you want it.
So just down 4 right here. And then the alternator just gives it some weirdness.
Tell me how you want it. Tell me how you want it. Tell me how.
Not sure exactly what it does, but it's fire. Then we have a Avox Choir. So this is just adding 8 voices of unison and then just kind of changing the pitch and timing of the copies.
Tell me how you want it.
So it's giving it that like weird feel because I want to like Chris Lake always has those like super weird sounding vocals, and this kind of gives you the same effect.
Tell me how you want it.
And we got another compressor.
Tell me how you want it.
So just smashing it down a little bit. More EQ.
Tell me how you want it. Tell me how you want it.
Just taming a little bit of the lows and some of the harshness up here. And then I just wanted to turn it up, so I just cranked it right here. After that, we got the neutron. So the way this works is, I think, so you could just have it listen to the vocal and then it'll kind of just give you what it thinks it should sound like. So really all I did with this is you hit this little learn thing and then it listens to it and just gives you like its best guess on how to make it sound better.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up a
So without it.
Tell me how you want it.
Yeah, super fucking easy. I definitely recommend like all the new ozone stuff, and I think this is part of it because they just it just has this AI function where it just listens to it and makes it sound better. So we love that. All right, after this we have Ozone 11, and I'm just using the stabilizer in here, and this just kind of makes the vocal sound good based off like white noise, or I think it's pink noise. So it tames stuff that's like harsh, and then it brings up other stuff to make it full. So there's 3 different bands. You have the low, mid, and high. And this is another like AI based thing as well. It's kind of like soothe. So it's just
tell me how you want it.
Getting rid of some of like the S's and harshness in the low mids, and then giving us some more bass in it.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
And then I was like, oh, we don't want the lows, so I just got rid of those because the 808's pretty heavy with the lows.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
And then lastly, we have the analog clip right there. So this is just making sure it's not clipping with the soft clip on. And then the only other processing is going to be this delay rack for the buildup.
Tell me how you want it. Tell me how you want it.
So that's kind of just like a different way of doing washout for the build. And then there's also more washout with the pick and bass group channel strip rack. So this rack pretty much just has everything you need to quickly arrange stuff by groups. So you could cut the lows, low pass filter, high pass filter, washout, reverb throw, echo, gain, and then muter, just to make your life easier. And that's about it for the arrangement here. And then lastly for the master, pretty subtle. So everything's mixed pretty well. So I just have a standard multiband comp just to bring down some of the harshness. And then soft sine saturator just to give it a little bit of saturation.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
And this is super dry wet. I try to do like very minimal on my master, but keep in mind I'm not releasing this, so it's not like a fully polished master. Yeah, so this is just giving it a little bit of beef. And then I use FabFilter Pro L just to limit it. This clipping BM preset's actually really sick in the version 1 presets folder. And then I'm just giving it a little bit of gain just to give it some loudness.
Tell me how you want it. Speed it up or slow it down.
slow it down. Tell me how you.
Yeah, so that's how we made the How You Want It track demo with the sample pack. The whole thought process behind the pack was just to give you guys drag and drop samples and the groove generator to just help you get ideas started quickly, because it can be so hard to start from scratch a lot of the time. So the generator is just going to give you like an easy starting point, and then once you extract everything, you'll be able to kind of edit it and make everything fit by itself. And then we got the drag and drop samples and 226 serum presets for you guys to mess around with. So if you want to check out the pack, links in the bio, and see you guys next time. Peace.